Hey family, welcome back and happy new week. We are still in the month of February, and even though this is the last week of the month, I didn't want to let this month pass by without getting into the topic of relationship. And I do believe that relationship topic is very broad. There's so many types of relationships, and I feel like we're gonna sit into this topic for some time, and we're gonna have episodes under this topic because I feel like it's very necessary. We have so many types of relationships, and most of the time, whenever you talk about relationship, people think of romantic relationship, and it's not only romantic relationship, but yeah, there's so many other kinds of relationships. So yeah, what comes to my mind whenever I hear the word relationship? For me, it's covering. That's the word that comes to my mind first and foremost, covering. I feel like relationship is covering. That's what comes to my mind whenever I think of, oh, I'm in a relationship with this person, or we're in this relationship. Like, I feel like we cover each other. We're in a covering, like the person covers me, I cover them. Yeah, it can be friendship wise, like we cover each other. Relationship with my father in heaven, he covers me. He's my covering. So yeah, that's what I think of whenever I hear the word relationship. Why do I think most relationships end up not working out? Oh, according to me, I feel like most relationships end up not working out because most of the time people get in relationship with a specific idea of the other person and not even be able to realize who they are. I'm a firm believer that you need to first be in oneness with yourself. You know, you need to be in a relationship with the Father, absolutely, be in a relationship with God, because that's going to even help you reveal who you truly are. Get to know yourself, understand yourself before you even allow someone in your life, or before you even get or being in oneness with someone. Understand yourself, get to know yourself, get to know your weaknesses, your strength, what do you love, what don't you love, and all that, so that you can be able to communicate that. It can be to a friend, romantic relationship, what else, whatever. But I feel like so many people do not do that, and they disregard the single season sometimes because they're like, oh my god, I just want to have someone, I don't want to be alone. And that's a bad thing. The fact that you don't like to be alone, or you're not content with enjoying your own time or your own space or your own company, that's a problem on its own. I feel like you need to get to a point when you feel content with who you are, before you even get in a relationship with someone. It can be romantic, whatever. Yes, be content with who you are. And when it comes to romantic relationships, I feel like most of them are not working out because ladies have this idea of how a man should be, and men have this idea of how the woman or the lady should be in a relationship. And I feel like we bump heads when it comes to that because we are having different expectations of each other. And I feel like if we were to focus on who should I be in this relationship, and him focuses on who should I be in this relationship, and just be selfless, because when I'm so much focused on who he should be, I kind of overlook my own flaws. And because I'm looking for this kind of perfect person that I've mastered. Yes, I can say no, I'm not looking for somebody who's perfect, but in my mind, this is the kind of person I'm. But I feel like we kind of have this idea, and this word that I hear about when it comes to how men view, or how they think or believe a lady should be. The word submissive, cha. The word submissive, that word is coming from God. It's coming from the word itself. And when a person is not in alignment with God and they actually saying, I want a submissive woman. But if you're not submissive, if you're not submitting to God, to the word, how can the woman be able to submit to you? I feel like sometimes it's not that women are not submissive. Sometimes men are not creating an environment for women to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel great. Because I'm a firm believer that submissive, respect, everything else, it's nothing to be said. It just happened effortlessly. When you're covering your woman, when you treat your woman the way you believe she deserves to be treated, which is amazing, she is definitely going to amazingly respect you and submit. And another thing that people always do is pick the word a woman should submit and forget that the Bible did say, submit ye to one another. We're submitting to a relationship. So I find it crazy when a person is not a relationship with the father, but they want the benefit that the father said a person should have or whatever. Be in alignment with, to the men, I feel like you need to be in alignment with God. Have a relationship with God. Yes, the word did say submit to your husbands, speaking to the wives, right? And also the word did say, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. So when I feel like that's what we also happened with guys and ladies. We bump heads when it comes to that, because when you're speaking so much about the word submissive, but you also omit that God did say, love your woman as Christ loved the church, and he died for the church. That's when you feel like, uh, you know, and for me, I also feel like word like respect and submissive, it just happened, guys, effortlessly, naturally so, because God told us to do it. It happens effortlessly, naturally so. A man has to do his part, the woman will do her part. Period. I'm not supposed to tell him, this is your part, you need to do this part. No, God tells him this is his part, do this part. That's what God does, tells the man. And God tells me as a woman, this is your part, Ashley, do this as a woman, this is your part. Because so many times we're having so much expectations on each other. I have expect him to be this, but do I still know that this is who I should be? And sometimes too much expectation on someone else makes us overlook, or makes us overlook how, or our own role. Sometimes we forget that, okay, this is how you should be. When a man creates an environment for a woman to feel loved, covered, protected, nurtured, like a woman has to feel safe. And when a woman feels safe, baby, everything else is just gonna fall into place. So I feel like most relationships are not working out because of that. We have this idea of how the other person should be, and the other person also has this idea of how this other person should be. We have an idea of how the other person should be, and that's what makes us not see eye to eye sometimes. And you see people get into a relationship, and then months later, or just few months later, or a year later, they're broken up. And another thing, I am a firm believer that you need to have a vision. You need to know, okay, as a lady, how does a relationship look like to you specifically? me as I am, Ashley, how does a relationship look like to you? And as the guy has to also know, how does a relationship look like to him? We communicate that to one another so that we know, okay, this is how where we are, and then we can be able to meet at a common ground. Because when that is not communicated, honestly speaking, that's when the idea of how I view this other person is. Because now I have this idea of this is how I view a relationship should be, and I'm not communicating that. So actually, I'm expecting that other person to be what I'm thinking or what I'm believing it should be, and the person doesn't even know this is how I see a relationship should be. So I feel like we should communicate. Communication is super, super, and very much important. We should communicate with one another. And again, I'm gonna add into that another thing. Before I even think of how this other person should be, I need to also question myself. Who do I see myself being in that relationship? What part do I see myself playing, or what role? Who do I see myself being in that relationship? We are so much focused on how the other person should be and the part that the other person should play, but what is your part? I feel like the moment we begin to get out from how the other person should be and begin to think on who should I be for the relationship for her, who should I be for the relationship for him, that's selflessness. And that's beauty right there. When you're thoughtful, you're considerate, and you're selfless. Sorry. When you're selfless, you're considerate, and you're thoughtful. That's beauty right there. Because relationship is that. That is why I'm going to say, when I think of the word relationship, or what comes to mind, when I hear the word relationship, I hear of covering. Covering is selfless. Covering is thoughtful. It's consideration. So I feel like that's what makes most relationship not work out. And if we are to do that, we will begin to see beautiful and fruitful relationships. But most importantly, be in a relationship with God. Be in alignment with God, because He tells you how you should be in a relationship. And He gives you the guide and everything, who you should be. If you are asking yourself, who should I be in a relationship? God tells you you should be in a relationship, because He created relationships. So you need to be in a relationship with the one who created relationships, so that He can guide you and lead you and tell you and give you the direction on where you should go and who you should be in a specific relationship. So yes, guys, I love your family, and don't forget, be in a relationship with God first, and you will enjoy being in a relationship with yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Mwah. I love you guys.